Kelsey Reidl is a small business marketing coach with a special interest in social media growth, search engine optimization, and direct response marketing strategy. After a decade working in business development and marketing roles for some of Canada's top health food brands, Kelsey decided to leave the corporate world so that she could work with small businesses and help them adopt the essential marketing success principles so that they can work with more clients, generate more cash, and bring the fun back into marketing. Through her courses, coaching, and her podcast, Visionary Life, she inspires entrepreneurs to challenge the status quo, connect with customers in creative ways, and to never settle for mediocre marketing campaigns. Kelsey lives in Ontario, Canada, with her husband and rescue pup, Abby. She loves to explore the world in search of the best coffee shops, the most stunning nature, and the wildest experiences. Sleeping in the Sahara, mountain biking through canyons, and heli-skiing in Switzerland are some of her best memories. Welcome back to the Women's Empowerment Podcast. Please join me in welcoming Kelsey to the show. Kelsey, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I am a huge fan of your show, so I'm so glad. I love getting to speak to other podcasters. I feel like you just get it. You just get it more.
I totally agree. It's always such a delight to sit down with other podcasters and even do podcast swaps like we're doing today. And yeah, I'm just so excited to be here. We had a pre-chat already, and I can tell we have a lot in common. So it'll be fun to get to know each other over a recording.
Yeah, I love that too. I know I'm always like, should I record the pre-chat? Is there like bonus material in here? But no, we had to hit record right away because we were getting into some juicy things. But before we get into all of that, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you became a small business marketing coach?
I'm going to try to give you the really condensed story. So basically, going back to when I graduated high school, I thought I wanted to be a human resource professional. So I went to school, studied for 4 years, graduated, and as all of my fellow classmates were going off to get office jobs, I was kind of left looking around going, oh my God, I do not belong in any of these jobs. Nothing resonates with me. And I think I'm going to go take off and travel for a year. So ended up moving to Switzerland for 2 years with my husband. And we just kind of explored. We lived an adventurous lifestyle. We were hiking, biking, eating a lot of fondue, all of the things. And when I got back, I really had this clarity that I wanted to enroll in school as a registered holistic nutritionist. This was completely different from my designation in HR, but that was the first time I made a really big decision in opposition with what my parents and what my peers kind of expected from me. They were all going to get their formal jobs. My parents were excited that I was going to get my first big girl job. And I said, no, I'm not doing it. I'm going to move to Toronto. I'm going to study holistic nutrition, which is all about eating natural foods and living this more hippie lifestyle and reconnecting with the earth. And in that year, I really realized that not only is health so important, but also it is the foundational pillar for being able to think clearly, make better decisions, and to understand what you want to do with your life. Like, I'm sure you can picture a time when you didn't have your health and nothing else matters at that moment. And so through that year in school, I made a lot of changes to my health, felt the best I ever had, and really got excited about my future and in pursuing what I actually wanted to do with my life versus just continuing to party and try to find jobs that I hated. So anyways, all that to say that after holistic nutrition school, I did end up starting my own practice and I started to see clients in the online space. This was about 10 years ago when most people were seeing clients in an office space, but I started to notice that through tools like Facebook and Instagram and building websites and Zoom, that we could have a fully digital business. So I started building my practice online. I loved it, but at a certain point, I started to get tons and tons of inquiries from my past classmates. Kelsey, how do you transition into the online space? Can you build my website? Hey, I love your weekly newsletters. Can you teach me how to do that? Wow, are you actually making sales of your courses on social media? How do you run your program through Facebook groups? So it was at that moment when I decided, hey, I think I have something here. Why don't I package up a framework and teach other coaches and professionals how to build a sustainable business in the online world and empower them with the knowledge they need to succeed. I'm also a very positive person who truly believes in everybody's potential. So I was also supporting a lot of practitioners who felt like they were just struggling and maybe felt a little overwhelmed and just needed somebody to be there for them. And so I started something called the Visionary Method, started teaching health professionals, coaches, consultants how to do this thing online. And really, my business has evolved and continued along a similar path for the last 7 years. And here I am today. I do private coaching. I have online courses. I host a podcast where I interview entrepreneurs. And really, my vision is just to help people to tap into what I call their most visionary life, which is the life that it feels good to you, right? It's not the one that you feel you should be doing or you have to be living. So it's really about reconnecting to what brings you joy and inspiration and following that.
I love all of that. That is so great. I love how you were a bit of a rebel and just followed your own intuition, your own gut, your own heart. I love that you are into health and wellness and nutrition because we definitely have that in common too. And I love that you just responded to what was in front of you and to how people were approaching you and asking you, "Oh my gosh, how did you do that? That's so cool.
Mhm.
That's amazing." And look at this evolution and all the people that you're helping. So that's really incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that story. I do have a question about this, I guess, how you've kind of married these two different things together. So I know you're not doing any more nutrition consulting, are you? No. Okay.
Nope.
However, you did talk about how health is a really foundational, important part of your life. And I see this actually through your stories and in your podcast episodes, how you talk about, the ice plunges and the biking
Mhm.
and, testing different things. Like I remember you said you weren't drinking as many coffees anymore.
Yep.
So all of those kind of, in the business world, we call it like the behind the scenes, the personal touches, but it really, I find as well for myself, it really helps amplify and empower your own business. Can you tell us a little bit about what your work-life balance looks like for you and maybe how you define work-life balance?
Yeah, such a good question. And I think it's a topic that's so important for all business owners to consider because especially in the early days when you start your business, it's easy to let it take over your life because you feel like you need to be showing up all the time. You constantly have to be visible on platforms like Instagram or TikTok, which demand content from us. And it can feel like this never ending hamster wheel where you don't really know when to stop or when to quit. So I'll tell you that 7 years ago, when I started my business and I lived in Toronto, which is a really fast paced city, I got caught up and swept up with it all. That's not to say I neglected my health. I still loved going to the 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. spin class, but like it was psychotic, right? It was get up, go to your spin class, pump up your heart rate, go grab breakfast on the go, get to the co-working space, work for 10 hours, go out to a social or go to another fitness class. Like there's definitely that phase where I was trying to find my balance and then keep up with client demands and emails and really keep this business afloat when I didn't really know, did it have longevity? And if I stepped away, would things be okay? But about 4 to 5 years into my business, I started to feel tired. And one of the telltale signs for me was that there was this week where I started to make so many silly mistakes. I forgot to do things for clients. I forgot to show up to friends' events. I forgot to respond to really important emails. And that is not me. Like I just felt like I was out of sorts. And I think it was at that moment that I realized I can't keep operating at the pace that I am because I'm going to burn out and I'm making all of these errors that are actually putting me at risk of losing clients and losing my business. It was around that time too that we actually decided to move out of the city and we moved to a tiny little town an hour from Toronto. So there was this whole unwinding of my nervous system that I feel was happening as we moved. I started spending more time in nature. I started honoring the fact that I didn't need to do 2 high-intensity workouts per day. And I started reconnecting with something so simple like my hunger signals, and not following strict diets anymore. So there was healthy Kelsey who did very well for 5 years, but it was very prescribed health and fueling a person who is running on adrenaline all the time. But within the last couple of years, I really feel I've tuned into what's going to allow me to operate at peak performance for the next 30, 40, 50 years. How do I think about my entire lifespan as a business owner? Because I'm not really in this for the short game. I'm building a business for the long run. I'm not looking for overnight success here. I'm not looking for quick changes in my health, my business, my relationship. I really do see it as this kind of slight edge approach where we do things every day to invest in the us of the future. And so at this point, I really see it as the more I can invest in those tiny habits. And I know you talk about this all the time, those tiny health habits that are going to build a better me in the future, the easier it is for me to run my business because I'm coming from a place of energy. I feel healthy and dialed in. When your brain power works, you're able to output more in less time. So it's so cool to see how the synergy of your health journey and even just your personal and personal growth journey, how that actually intersects so perfectly with your professional or business growth journey.
It's cool, eh? How they are so correlated like that. And I mean, if you really think about your health, everything is very connected. Everything has this kind of ripple effect to it, or like you said, that little slight edge change in one thing is going to affect the other things in your life. And I like to use sleep as an example of that. So if you're getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep is what's the prescribed recommendation for adults. If you're getting that 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep every single night, you wake up with more energy, which means you have more clarity, less brain fog. You're going to make wiser decisions, hopefully. You're going to probably reach for the food and the fuel for your body that helps you sustain that energy throughout the day. And then maybe you even have enough energy to do a workout that day.
Yeah.
And then that workout makes you thirstier. So you drink more water. And when you drink more water, it helps your elimination. And when you help your elimination and your digestion, you know what I mean? It just keeps growing and multiplying and expanding in this way.
Yep.
And those are very, physical health examples, but I can absolutely see in my own examples or my own experience how that ripples into your business too. Because if you're waking up unmotivated, well, how are you showing up to calls, or how are you showing up for that, all that content you have to create for social media? If you're just rolling your eyes at this checklist I have to get through, people aren't going to really be attracted to that. They're not going to be pulled to your services or want to work with you because you have that lacking energy. So yeah, I love that you said that. And I love that you talked about The Slight Edge. Have you read that book, The Slight Edge?
I have. It's actually right beside me right now. I love that book.
It's been so long since I read it, but I remember it's a great book. They're all the habit books are very similar. They talk about that 1% improvement, or that little shift, if you can just shift things a little bit. And I know that with your marketing, you talk about, actually just saw you post this, about your optimization and how if you can just change one thing 1% better, how that's going to improve into your life and your business. So would it be okay if we talked about maybe one or two examples of how you've improved your life by 1%, and maybe how you've improved your marketing or some part of your business by 1%?
Absolutely. Let's dive into that. I love that topic. And, even just before we get into that, I also want to share that this is why I feel the work that you do is so important, because I could have a client come to me who's like, give me the marketing strategy and, I'll just do it and hopefully it all works out. But if they are coming from a place of resentment, depletion, if their health isn't in order, they're probably going to skip calls, cancel on me all the time, not follow up because they're like, oh, I've been having a really tough week, so low energy. That type of client, I actually turn them away at this point. And I'm like, you need to go work with a health coach first. Come to me when you feel like you're you have so much energy that you're just like ready to show up in the world and get more visible than ever before, because marketing can be very taxing, especially when you are the face of your brand. So I think that people need to visit you sometimes before they even come to me.
I love that. Let's keep that in mind when we want to swap with
Yeah,
clients.
I love it. Okay, so what was the question? So we want to talk about optimization, right?
Yeah, and 1% improvements in your life and then also in your business. What are some of the things that maybe you practice?
Hmm. I think, one of the easiest things that I've practiced, I think for most of my life, is always learning. So I don't see life as black and white. I don't have a fixed mindset. And I would encourage everyone listening to really think about, what is your mindset on a daily basis? Do you say things like, I'm just a tired person, or there's never enough time in the day? We've all caught ourselves saying these types of things, right? But what you're essentially telling yourself in that moment is that no matter how many tools or people show you that you can have all the time and manage it properly, you can have abundant energy, what you've said to yourself is, I'm stuck this way, nothing can ever change, and I'm closed off to all of the amazing information or education that I could receive. So I I don't know if it's nature or nurture thing, but there's something about me that has this insane curiosity about life and health in particular. One of the things that has helped me a lot is tuning into podcasts. So obviously both of us are very passionate about them, but there are so many incredible health podcasts out there where you can actually learn a lot of free information of how to improve. And then you can kind of discern, do I want to try out any of these things in my life or not? So a couple things for me. Number one, you mentioned it already, is cold plunging. We obviously saw that even when I looked at the keyword search for cold plunging, it's gone up like 80,000% in the last 2 years. So anyone who had a cold plunging business or was selling cold plunges, they hit it really big over the last 12 months. But for me, I didn't listen to that saying, I hate cold. And I hear that all the time. I hate the cold. I could never do that. Well, what if I told you that you could potentially boost your energy, boost your longevity, increase your recovery, increase your dopamine for the next 6 hours? Like, does that sound appealing? Do we have to stay in the I hate cold phase? So that would be something that, just on a high level, I would experiment with to see, does this allow me to show up in my life and be more present? One of my general visions is just to allow people to feel seen and heard in my presence. Because I feel like in this day and age, people are so distracted, their attention is everywhere, that oftentimes you're with people and they're just on another planet. So I really like to think about, how can I show up and be the most present possible? And that usually starts with taking care of myself and making sure that not only do I eat properly, but I really just respect the whole ecosystem of my body and what I need to function. So always experimenting there. Obviously, I have specific dietary things that I like to follow, and exercise routines and meditation. But I think it's just important to always hone in on what works for you, and to never take anything that somebody else says at face value, because everybody's different. Every physiology is unique. Some people are morning people, some people are evening people. So never think that you have to do the morning routine in order to somehow be a successful person in life. So there's that. I don't know if we want to stay on that topic a bit, or.
Yeah, no, I love everything that you said, especially at the end there, because I jokingly roll my eyes every time someone says these are the top 10 healthy habits to do, and they're very specific to,
Mhm.
a certain person, and they might have incredible success for some people, but like you said, not everybody is a morning person. So maybe you don't have a morning
Mhm.
routine, but you have a wake up routine. So I
Yes.
like those little shifts and adjustments. And part of what I really like to encourage when we have guests on the show, especially when you're sharing those experiences and some of your practices and ideas, It's to think, what would that feel like for me? Or how would I like to enjoy that? And maybe it's something you
Mm,
want to experiment. And maybe it's something you're like, yeah, cold plunge. That's great for Kelsey. I'm good.
mhm, mhm,
So I think too, like, don't knock it till you try it at the same time, because I know that I also really frowned upon cold plunging. And then I've
mhm.
done it a few times. I'm not like a cold plunger, but we do have a cold plunge in our house that
Oh my gosh,
we
I'm
need
so
to fill up.
jealous.
Yeah.
It's important to know too, like, do you thrive on a really regimented routine? Like, are you the type of person that's like at 6:15, I wake up, at 6:30, I have my coffee, at 6:45, I go for my 5K run, at 7:15, I take the dog out. And like maybe you really thrive on that. Whereas you could be the complete opposite. And for you, you kind of wake up and say, what do I need today? What would feel really light and energizing? Do I need the high intensity workout, or do I need the yoga class, or just no movement at all because I'm tired? So I feel like for myself personally, I ebb and flow between that dichotomy. Like some days my calendar is packed from 6 a.m. until 6 p.m. and I like to schedule everything in. But then I just looked at my Thursday and I realized I have a totally blank day and I'm going to keep it that way. So I'm not scheduling anything in. So it's almost like listening to the rhythm of what season you're in, how your mood is, how your energy is that day, and just knowing, like you said, that somebody's routine, you might learn or be inspired from it, but that doesn't mean it's going to be right for you and bring you any happiness or joy if you try it.
Definitely. And I think that goes back to the growth mindset piece that you said too, because if you're really understanding your own self, if you're really taking the time to grow and personal development and learn about you, then it'll be
Mm-hmm.
easier for you to make those decisions of what works for me, or yeah, I would really
Yeah.
like that, or my schedule is a little more rigid than I'd like it to be. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that part is huge. Mindset is huge, but
Yeah.
definitely just understanding yourself more too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about that 1% improvement in our business. What can we do? What are some of the tools or the tricks?
Mm-hmm. So I love this topic because the whole point of business is to always be optimizing. And hopefully, anyone who runs a business is looking to run it smarter and not to necessarily work harder all the time, and realize that a lot of the inputs that you're putting in can be optimized or improved or automated. So once somebody has set up the initial structure of their business and they got the website and they have their little social media strategy and all that, I think the tendency is to sit back and think, cool, I'm done. I'm just going to leave everything the way it is, not realizing that in this ever changing world and ever evolving marketing landscape, things are moving really fast. Like they say, 10 years of regular life is equivalent to 100 years in marketing. So that means if you haven't updated your website in 10 years, it basically looks like it's 100 years old. And that's the truth, unfortunately, whether we want to hear it or not. And so, my goal as a business and marketing coach, and even just as an entrepreneur running my own business, is to always be optimizing, ABO. And what that means is essentially that when you set things up, like you set up your TikTok, you set up your website, you have a webinar that people can download, you have an ebook, you're posting on LinkedIn, you are having people book discovery calls with you, you need to be tracking all of that. And I realize that this is so boring for 99% of people, but you cannot improve what you do not measure, or it's a lot harder because we're doing a lot of guesswork. So, my suggestion to anyone is to just make sure you're tracking some basic data on what's working month over month, and on the opposite end, what's not working, because then the optimization becomes really, really easy. For example, a lot of my clients collect applications on their website, and they'll notice that they get 200 visits to the application to sell a $10,000 coaching program, but then they get only one person fill it out. That's not good. I mean, it's good that they're getting one lead out of it, but if we have 200 viewers and only one person filling it out, this should be the most exciting thing for us to optimize. That means 200 people are expressing intent in your business. You're just not, you're missing something in the conversion of the application there. And it's so interesting how nuanced marketing and business is, that simply shrinking the application or changing the first question or using a different color scheme that doesn't hurt people's eyes, you can actually increase conversion by 100, 200, 500%. And all of a sudden you're getting 20 applications instead of one. And your business is pulling in, 200K in revenue versus 20K in revenue. So I always encourage people, like, don't just set things up and forget it. Really work on optimizing and always having that critical eye of, is there anything I could do better this month? Is there anything I could do different this month? Because that's where you're going to experience the biggest leaps. It's not necessarily in jumping on the newest social media platform or creating the next lead magnet. We don't need more. We need to do better what we already have.
Yes, I love this so much. And it's so easy now because a lot of the insights and the analytics that you're looking at are free. Like they're
Mm,
automatically
yep.
happening in the back end of your business anyway. So why not take advantage of them? And, you know, I think a lot of the time, because I'm not a marketing expert, I don't consider myself one, but a lot of the times is we don't really know how to read the data, or we're looking at the
Yeah.
data and we're seeing, okay, yeah, I see 200 views versus one actually complete form, but I don't know what the difference is, right? And so then that's why we would contact
Yes.
someone like you with that expertise, with that eye to say, oh, okay, well, let's try A, let's try B, let's try
Yeah.
C, and then see how they go. So I love that. But I think too, it's like a lot of the time there's this pressure, as you mentioned earlier, to just be on and be posting and be doing and making sure the calendar is full and that you're, not doing
Mhm.
busy work, but you're productive. But if you just keep outputting and you don't keep reviewing or revisiting and
Yep.
seeing and analyzing, then you're just wasting energy. Like it's not
Mhm.
going to the right places. And I talk about this with habits too. What gets measured is what gets moved. And so when you want to know what you want to change, you got to track it. You got to figure out like what's working, what's not. And that those insights, that information is it's like this free clue. Like
Yes.
this free big bold, highlighted letters and numbers that are like, this is
Mhm.
working. This is not working. So I love that you
Mhm.
said that. And honestly, like it does sound a little bit simple, but it's so effective. And
And I
that's
think
hard.
sometimes people too, they're just intimidated of the numbers and they maybe don't want to face the reality of what is true right now. And I used to be the same way. Metrics used to make me kind of queasy. And it's like, do I really want to see how few clients I pulled in or how little income my course generated? But it's also very empowering because you can have this launching pad for, you know what, this isn't going well. I'm going to make a change. And you're motivated because you know that next month you could see a different number. So, yeah, I think, whether it's with habits or with marketing, like there is something to be said about being comfortable, embracing reality and the truth, and being okay with looking at your numbers, your metrics, or anything that's going to give you insight into where you're currently at.
Yeah, making it more of an observation or experiment versus the judgment. I think there's a lot of that in both health and in business where, we're almost ashamed to look a little deeper because we know that something's not working. We just don't know what it is or how to do it
Yeah.
yet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Oh my goodness. I feel like we talked about a lot in a short-ish amount of time, but before we get into our rapid fire round of the show, I wanted to ask you if there's anything that hasn't been said that you really want to share today.
Oh my goodness. Well, pick a topic and I'm happy to keep talking.
I know, I feel like we could talk forever.
I don't feel like there's anything that's been shared. I just feel like it is so important for anyone listening who does have a business to really focus on where is the energy right now. Same as on a health journey, like you're really looking for the workouts that energize you, the food that energizes you. It's the exact same with marketing. Like if you go into writing blogs and you're just like, I hate this, I'm so resentful towards this, my business coach told me to do this, it's not going to do well in your body, in your business, right? So, same as choosing foods that energize you, choosing workouts, choosing supplements to optimize your energy. Do the same in your business, especially when your bandwidth is limited. Maybe you're a mom, maybe you have a full time job, maybe you have other things that you do outside of business. So don't waste your time doing things that completely suck you dry. Obviously, there are things maybe you have to do, but for everything else, there's very few things that I would prescribe to everyone saying, you absolutely have to do this in business. So really tune in to where that energy is happening. And I promise that your business is going to do so much better than if you force everything each day.
Yes, I love that. That's great advice. All right, Kelsey, where can we find you? Where can we follow you? How can we support your business?
Yeah, so the best place to find me is kelseyreidl.com. And I am very active on Instagram at Kelsey Reidl.
Perfect. And I'm actually going to link to all of your information in the show notes page to this episode, which will be available at ValerieLevineLife.com/Kelsey. Okay, Kelsey, we have a rapid fire round. I'm going to ask you 4 questions. Are you ready?
I am so ready. Let's do it.
Question number 1 is, what are you currently reading, or what is your favorite book?
Oh, well, we mentioned The Slight Edge already. So that's definitely one of the favorites. And over on my bookshelf, I would say for anyone looking for an amazing marketing book, read the book Fascinate by Sally Hogshead.
Ooh, I'm going to have to link to those in the show notes page. Question number 2 is, what does empowerment mean to you?
Empowerment means having all the information you need to make better decisions in your life.
I like that answer. That's new. What is your longest standing habit?
I would say from nutrition school, 2 of the things that I've never missed since I started at nutrition school, lemon water and tongue scraping, which is funny because I feel like you wrote a post about lemon water. Like, if that's not for you, don't do it. I'm like, as soon as I got my lemon water in the morning, like I have been a convert for the last more than a decade.
Oh, cool. I love that. Well, my
Yeah.
dental hygienist friend, who's also a holistic nutritionist, says you got to drink that with a straw or it wrecks your
This
teeth.
is why I always have
There
my
you
straw.
go.
Yeah. And so far my teeth are fine 10 years later. So
Perfect. I'm so glad to hear that. And our last rapid fire question is, what are you currently working towards?
currently working towards prepping for potentially stepping away from my business to one day raise a family, which has been a very challenging pursuit because I don't feel like there's a lot of information on the internet for women. And yeah, I think you just kind of have to pioneer it yourself.
Yeah. Wow, that's so cool. Well, I feel like there's a new course coming soon from you.
Yeah. I'm
People are
going to
going to be asking
document
you.
everything,
Yeah.
but only if I do it successfully and figure some secrets out that maybe others haven't. So we'll see.
So cool. I love that. Well, that's so exciting. Thank you so much for being on the Women's Empowerment Podcast. It's an absolute pleasure to finally get a chance to chat with you. I think what you do is really incredible. I love your offerings. I love how you show up super authentically and just really knowledgeable in all of the things that you teach. So I'm really excited to have you here with our audience. And yeah, just look forward to seeing your new growth in the new
Aw.
coming years. Thank
Well, it's
you.
been so fun. Thank you for having me. And I can't wait for you to come on my show.